Hello students, I am Anju Chula, your English teacher. Today in our class we are going to start a poem from your textbook First Flight. Before we start this poem, I would like to discuss a few questions. What is loss? The first question. What if we lose something or someone? Does this fear of loss make us more careful with what we have? Does this fear make us wise as not to take things for granted? Let's start with our poem to get answers to all these questions, because this poem that we are going to start today, The Ball, written by John Berryman, provides answers to all these questions in a subtle manner. First of all, we need to understand what is loss and how to cope with the loss. Okay, students, childhood is a period when we enjoy our life to the fullest. We are free from the worries of the world, and we are delighted when it comes to playing, when it comes to sharing things with our friends and playing with toys, etc. So it's a period full of sweet memories. When adulthood takes over, everything changes. We start growing up, we learn new things, and we learn new responsibilities also. And at the same time, we need to accept the harsh realities of life. We need to face new challenges. So, this poem is basically about things that we learn when we grow up, things that we start valuing when we grow up, and how we lose our dear ones and the things that we possess, and what is the impact of this loss on us. Let's start. First, let me introduce to the poet John Berryman. John Berryman was an American poet and scholar. He was born in McAlester, Oklahoma. He was a major figure in American poetry, a key figure in the confessional school of poetry, and his best known work is the Dream Songs. For the Dream Songs, he had won the most prestigious Pulitzer Award. Let's start with our poem. First, I would like to tell you that this poem does not follow any pattern, any particular rhymed pattern. It's unrhymed, okay, and it's written in free verse. We can call it written in blank verse. So I'll begin with this. What's the boy now who has lost his ball? What is he to do? I saw it go, merrily bouncing down the street, and then merrily over, there it is in the water. No use to say, oh, there are other balls. An ultimate shaking grief fixes the boy. As he stands rigid, trembling, staring down all his young days into the harbor where his ball went, I would not intrude on him. A dime, another ball is worthless. Now, he senses first responsibility. In a world of possessions, people will take balls. Balls will be lost always, little boy. And no one buys a ball back. Money is external. He is learning, well behind his desperate eyes, the epistemology of loss, how to stand up, knowing what every man must one day know, and most know many days how to stand up. So this is the poem all about. We would discuss a few Let's begin with this. The beginning of the poem, as the poem begins, the poet asks a question. What is the boy now? Actually, the poet comes across a small child who was playing with a ball. And he was happy while playing with that toy, and he suddenly lost his ball. Now the question is, what is he to do? How will he react to this? Because the poet saw the boy playing with the ball a moment back, and now there is no happiness on the face of the child. The child is a little upset, and he's looking down the street where he had lost the ball. The ball that was bouncing a moment before, now it's there in the deep water. He feels that if I ask the boy not to cry, if I go to him and say, "Oh, there are other balls," last second line of this stanza, no use to say, "Oh, there are other balls." So he feels that I should not intervene at the moment when the child is a little low and he is upset when he lost his ball. Because if I say there are other balls that would make him happy, that he could play with those balls, that would be a statement completely worthless or useless, because right now he wants to get the same ball back, and that is impossible because it has gone into the deep water. An ultimate shaking grief fixes the boy. Now, this realization has come to the boy that once he has lost this ball, he is not going to get it back. So, he is sorrowful, and this sadness, this sorrow affects him deeply. The boy stands rigid, trembling, and he's staring down the same street where he had lost the ball. There are a new words like merrily, that means happily, bouncing, moving up after hitting the surface, so the bouncing ball. So the boy was playing with the ball, and merrily did he play with that. So he was all happy and elated while playing with that. Shaking grief. He feels this grief and sorrow once he loses the ball. Sadness comes to him and affects him greatly. Okay, so this phrase shaking grief is for the grief that the boy experiences, and this grief actually affects him deeply. As he stands rigid, he is not moving from his place, he is not going anywhere, he is just looking at the same place where he had lost the ball. This ball is actually depicting the young, happy days of the boy. He feels that all his childhood memories, the sweet memories of his young days, it had gone into the harbor with the same ball. Now he is not able to get back those memories. He is not able to relive those memories. Those were associated with the ball. Now the ball is lost. All those good days, the sweet memory of the young days, are lost forever. His ball went. It had gone. I would not intrude on him. The poet says, I is referred to the poet. He says, I would not intrude on him. Intrude means I would not interfere. I would not do something. I would not go to a place where I am not wanted. Okay? So, intruder is someone who enters a territory, an area without permission. So, his entry is not liked by anyone and it is unwanted. So, he says that right now the boy does not need me. Okay, because his attention, he is all attentive about the ball, he is just looking at the ball and he is just experiencing the loss for the first time. He has experienced something, so I am not going to disturb him, I am not going to interfere. Let him experience what he is supposed to experience. A dime, another ball is worthless. If I go to him, I give him some money to buy another ball, that would be a total waste of money and total waste of time too. Now, what is this dime? A dime is equal to 10 cents, that is US currency. Okay, just like paise in India, Similarly, 10 cents make a dime. So he says that spending money in buying another ball would not bring the same happiness that the boy used to feel when he was playing with the ball that he has lost just now. Now he senses first responsibility. He learns the very first lesson of life, and he learns that he should be responsible with what he has. Okay? If he possesses something, if he owns something, he should be extra careful. So this is the first lesson of responsibility. In a world of possessions, the poet further says, this world is about people who run after money, who keep hoarding money, and they are running after all the comforts in life. They possess a lot of things and they are careful about those things, but still things are lost sometimes. Sometimes other people come and take them away or snatch them from our hands, and that is how we lose our property, our possession. The same thing the poet wants the little boy to understand, and he wants to tell him, balls will be lost always, little boy. So now, if we read between the lines, we come to understand that balls is actually referred to all those things that human beings possess or they own. Okay, so they should know and they should accept this reality of life that things are lost sometimes. It's not only about things only, objects only. Sometimes we lose our near and dear ones too. Let's have a look at the new words. Rigid, stiff, immovable. As you can see in this picture, there's a boy at a harbor. He's standing still, rigid, not moving, not looking anywhere else. His gaze is fixed at one place. Similarly, the boy who lost his ball is standing rigid, not looking anywhere else. He is just staring down the street or the place where he had lost his ball. Trembling means shivering or shaking slightly. It can happen due to cold. It can happen because we are afraid of something. So shaking or shivering with fear. Right now the boy is shivering with fear. Fear of not getting the ball back. Staring, when we fix our gaze and look fixedly at someone. Harbor, port area, a place where ships moor in shelter. Intrude is interfere. Possession, something that is owned by us. Okay, and as I told you, a dime is equal to 10 cents. Now moving on to the next lines. The poet says, no one buys a ball back. Okay, if we lose something, we cannot have a replacement of the lost item or lost person sometimes. Once it's lost forever. It cannot be bought with money. It cannot be replaced with money because money is external. You can see the expression of the man in this picture. He has got a lot of money in his hands, but still he is looking confused and he is not looking satisfied at all. As if he is looking for a answer to the question that what will I do with this money if this money cannot bring happiness to me. So money is external, it's superficial, it cannot bring back our memories, it cannot help us buy our happiness. Okay, he is learning, he is referred to the little boy, that he is learning this reality of life, that sorrows are a part of our life. If we are happy at one moment, we can be depressed the next moment. Okay, so he is learning this thing, that sometimes we are happy about the possession or the things that we possess, The next moment we may lose them, and that can bring sadness. Okay, so he's learning all those lessons of life. Well, behind his desperate, hopeless eyes, the epistemology of loss. Now he's turning to be a mature boy, a wise one who can understand the nature of loss. What is this epistemology? This one is derived from a Greek word episteme, that means knowledge. Okay, so the boy himself is learning the nature of loss. That is too deep. Okay, it's not an easy task, but the child learning that gradually he will be wise and he will be practical like all the grown ups. He will learn how to stand up. He will learn that if sorrows come into our life, we should not be afraid of them. If any challenge is thrown to us, we should accept that. Okay? And we should once again stand up, knowing what every man must one day know. As I told you, childhood is a sweet period where there are no worries in our life. We enjoy this period to the fullest. But when adulthood takes over, everything changes. The picture is entirely different. You need to learn a lot of things, and you sense your responsibilities also. You become a responsible man. So, this happens to everyone. The one who is growing up, he or she will be a wise man or woman someday. Okay, so this is something that everyone must learn, and the boy is also learning. It's quite natural. And most know many days how to stand up. Okay, once again there are some new words. External, money is external, so the meaning of the word is superficial. Okay, desperate, hopeless. How is the eyes of the boy? They are desperate. Epistemology, the Greek word means episteme, that means knowledge, study of the nature of knowledge itself. Let's discuss the theme of the poem now. This poem is about losing something which we love and then learning to grow up. It's about a little boy who, in his young life, for the first time, for the first time, he has not lost anything earlier. That becomes clear when this line is to be read by us, that he senses his first responsibility. Okay, so the child is growing up, and for the first time he is learning what it's like to experience grief after the loss of a possession, much beloved possession, which is here is ball. Though it is only a ball, okay, but if we read between the lines and if we go by the symbol used in the poem, this ball actually depicts the young days of the child. Okay, all the sweet memories related to this ball. So once the ball is lost, those memories and those young days are also lost forever. A few poetic devices which are used in this poem. First of all, we will discuss anaphora. What is anaphora? Use of repeated words in two or more consecutive lines. Okay, repeated words in two or more consecutive lines. Example, as given in the beginning of the poem. What is the boy? What? Merrily bouncing merrily over. So you may have noticed the words what and then merrily. Both these words are repeated in two or more consecutive lines. So this is an example of anaphora. Okay. Now coming to this assonance. Okay. You must have read what is alliteration. Okay. Alliteration is the repetition of consonant sound, and quite opposite to that, assonance is the repetition of vowel sound. So repeated use of vowel sound, if it is there in the poem, this is an example of assonance. And if repeated use of consonant sound is there, then this is an example of alliteration. Now let us discuss if there are examples of assonance. First of all, you may have a look at this. Boy, now, who lost? Okay. One thing that is to be noticed is the repeated use of vowel sound O. Okay. B-O-Y, boy, now, who, lost, etc. And then once again, he is learning behind his desperate eyes. So, vowel sound E is repeated. Okay, so repeated use of vowel sound O and then E. So this becomes an example of assonance. Coming towards repetition, this is repeated words. Okay, example, what is the word that has been used more than once? Okay, then ball is also repeated. So this is an example of repetition. Then alliteration, repetition of consonant sound, not vowel like assonance, but consonant sound. If we look at the examples, it becomes clear to us. Buys a ball back. Okay, buys a ball back. So B sound, B, buys ball back. Then man must, M sound, man must, M. Then most many, most many. Once again same consonant sound, that is M, M. Okay, most many. Last is the personification. The ball, as I told you, it's not only a toy. If we read between the lines, it becomes clear to us that this ball, and at one place the poet has used balls. So this ball and balls are actually the things that we possess. And in case of the child, in case of the little boy, this ball is used to depict his happy young days. With the loss of the ball, he has lost those young days also. Okay, this ball has also been used as a symbol. Okay, it is symbolic of the things that we hold dearly. It's about the people, the relationships, or the friends, etc. We love them so much. That's why we call them our possession, prized possession, because we possess those people in our life. We possess those things in our life. So, anaphora, assonance, repetition, alliteration, and personification. These are some of the poetic devices used in the poem The Ball. That's all from my side. I hope I was clear to you. You have comprehended the poem, and the basic idea behind this poem is that as grown-ups, we need to learn certain things. We need to be more wise and responsible. Okay? Childhood is different from adulthood. Adulthood teaches us some toughest lessons of life. Okay? It teaches us that sorrow is a part and parcel of our life, and we need to accept the realities of life. We need to face the challenges of the life. That is how we can learn how to cope with the loss, because it's natural that we may possess something at one moment, the next moment the thing can be lost. It can be someone we love very much. It can be an object, it can be somebody we love so much. So we may lose people, we may lose objects, but we need to understand that this is a part of life, and we need to learn how to cope up with this loss. Thank you, everyone.